right, sore loser comes to mind, but let's, whatever you want to characterize what happened in Wisconsin last night, Donald Trump's reaction was less than a little magnanimous, not only calling him lying Ted Cruz, but going so far as to say this in a campaign statement: Ted Cruz is worse than a puppet. He's a Trojan horse being used by the party bosses attempting to steal the nomination from Mr. Trump. All right, say what you will about what happened in Wisconsin, but he lost badly there, a point I raised with Carl Palladino, the former New York gubernatorial candidate who is backing Mr. Trump. So on Fox Business today, I asked Palladino, do you think that's the way to react to a loss? Take a look. In other states, Donald Trump has congratulated Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, he, in states he's lost. I don't know.
We have a guy, okay, who never ran for office before.
I understand.
All right, this is his first time out, just like it was for me.
I'm saying this is human being 101. Human being 101.
And he believes, I mean, this man believes in right, okay? He really believes in that.
He lost by a country mile. Just say it, move on. I'm going to focus on New York now. I think I have good chances in New York, blah, blah, blah. What do you say?
That's
what you would have done.
That's what he's going to do.
All right. So Palladino, trying to defend his friend, is Pat Buchanan, the former Republican presidential candidate, best-selling author, great historian. I think he acted like a baby, Pat. I just think, you know, there's a time to be magnanimous. You lost, move on, shut up. What do you think?
Well, what the statement lacked in graciousness, Neil, it did make up in honesty. Look, I agree with you basically. You always be magnanimous, then you go on to the next campaign. But there's no doubt about it. Ted Cruz is the instrument of the establishment which does not like Ted Cruz, which detests Ted Cruz, many of them. Folks like Lindsey Graham. Why are they backing him? Because he's the instrument by which they hope to bring down and destroy Donald Trump.
Donald Trump destroyed himself, Pat, with the comments he made in the last week. You might be right about establishment players, not all, by the way, coming together, but Donald Trump destroyed himself last week.
Well, you're saying he's made one gaffe and mistake and blunder after another in the last 2 weeks. It's been a terrible 2 weeks. You're exactly right. But that doesn't negate the fact that the establishment desperately wants to bring down Trump. And if it succeeds in bringing him down, Mr. Cruz ought to watch his back because they don't have him in mind as their leader.
But Pat, my memory might be failing me, but I don't remember you talking like that when you had a couple of losses.
Well, no, I didn't, but
And you know why you didn't? And you know why you didn't, Pat? Because you're a magnanimous individual, because you're a classy individual. This seems childish, petulant, babyish.
Right, look, let me basically agree. I mean, your criticism, I agree with it. I think he ought to be more magnanimous. I think he says a lot of things he shouldn't say. He goes off on tangents and issues, and it may cost him the nomination. But I do agree the establishment is out to kill his candidacy, and the instrument they have, the indispensable instrument, is Ted Cruz. I think Cruz is out for Ted Cruz as the nominee, but if he beats Trump somehow and moves toward that nomination, I think he will find a lot of these people abandoning him very rapidly. But there's no doubt about this fact, is that I think either Trump wins this on the first ballot, Neil, or Trump loses the nomination.
No, I think you're probably right about that. Close will not be good enough. And if it goes to multiple ballots, he slips further away. Play that scenario out for me then, Pat. What happens?
Here's what I think Trump ought to do. Your earlier guest is exactly right. Look, what Trump ought to do, he should have been gracious and moved on. And he really ought to bear down hard on New York. What is it, 95 delegates?
Right.
He can get a huge number of those. If he gets those, that's tremendous momentum for the next week. And then going into California, get as close as he can. Focus and stay focused. Go after the unbound delegates. And frankly, then wheel and deal with people who are holding delegates for the vice presidency, if necessary, to get this nomination. I mean, be serious about it. I was with Reagan out in the Pacific Palisades when they did the Schweiker deal, giving him the vice presidency or the vice presidential nomination if Ronald Reagan, won the nomination.
To try to get the Pennsylvania delegation. It didn't work out. But you didn't hear any crying or whining or vindictiveness about it.
No, look. You seem pretty hung up on that statement.
No, you know what I do? And I know it's a little thing, but I think character counts. I think how you act counts. I think any candidate loses something or feels that he puts in a lot of time in a state and it doesn't deliver for him, you're going to be angry. You're going to point fingers. And a lot of those charges, in fact, might be right. But now and in the afterglow of a victory for the other guy, a defeat for you, is not the time to do it. Fight on, buckle up. You're going to have another battle. Shut up.
Well, I think you're basically right. I think you take your defeat, you get determined, you congratulate the fellow graciously, and then you move on and you go all out.
And you privately know, I'm gonna kill you elsewhere. I'm gonna take you on the next date. And you smile and walk away.
How one can smile and be such a villain, huh?
Exactly. Patrick, you perfected it, my friend. All right? Very good having him. But you think it's going to go to multiple ballots?
And if it goes to multiple ballots, I think that Trump will lose. And I think if it goes to a second ballot, listen, I think that Trump and Cruz really ought to reinforce that Rule 40 or reinstate that Rule 40. But if Trump loses it on the first ballot, I think Cruz wins on the second. I'm of the view that one of those two is going to be the nominee, and that the establishment isn't going to get it.
All right. You didn't say one tacky, rude, or nasty thing, Pat. All right. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.